I just found out who my dad's stalker actually is. In my dad's 30 years as a therapist, he's never refused to help someone. Killers, abusers, the worst people imaginable. Until this one seemingly innocent 16-year-old girl showed up. She had no violent tendencies or outbursts. She actually wanted to be in therapy, but dad adamantly refused to help her. When we asked why, he mumbled something about her not being the right fit. We thought it was strange, but let it go. Until a week later when she started emailing him. Please reconsider, she'd write. I really need help. Dad deleted them without responding, but then she somehow got his personal cell number. Her texts began flooding in at all hours. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. to dad's phone buzzing nonstop. 27 messages from an unknown number. Mom made him show her. They all said variations of the same thing. Just one session, please. Mom cornered dad at breakfast. Why is she so desperate for you specifically? Dad wouldn't look up from his coffee. There are other therapists, he muttered. She should find someone else. Mom pressed harder. That's not an answer. Dad just grabbed his keys and left for work early. That's when she also started showing up at his office. The receptionist called the cops twice, but she'd always leave right before they arrived. Dad installed new locks and a security camera, thinking that would end it, but it didn't. She just switched tactics. She posted in every local Facebook group about how my dad, a supposed mental health advocate, had refused to help a teenager in crisis. The post went viral in our small town. People who'd known dad for years started asking questions. She showed up at his professional conference and stood up during the Q&A. Why won't you help me? She asked into the microphone before security escorted her out. Dad just stood there, frozen. He looked terrified. She organized actual protests outside his office. She held a sign saying, "Mental health for all teens and no child left behind." That night I asked dad point blank, "Do you know her from somewhere?" His hand actually shook pouring his drink. "No," he said too quickly. "Never seen her before she came to my office." I knew he was lying. Dad was never a good liar. Within a week I was noticing her. She'd be standing across from my school every morning. Mom mentioned seeing that girl at her yoga class, always on the mat directly behind her, then at the grocery store, then at her book club meeting, sitting in the corner, pretending to read. We'd go out for family dinners and she'd somehow already be there, always 3 tables away facing us. The waiter would mention someone had already paid for a drink to be sent to our table, but dad would refuse it every time. She created fake social media accounts pretending to be our friends, posting embarrassing things about our family. Credit cards started arriving in dad's name for accounts he never opened. Our bank called about suspicious activity. Someone had been trying to access his accounts from different IP addresses all over town. Mom finally exploded one evening. She knows our routines, our schedules, everything. Who is she? Dad kept insisting she was just a disturbed teenager who'd fixated on him. "It happens," he said. "Therapists deal with this," but his voice cracked. The girl's messages evolved into something darker. "Your wife drives alone to yoga every Thursday at 7. She texted dad from a burner phone. "I found a note in my locker. Your dad looks tired. You look just like him, BTW." Mom started getting photos of her car at different locations throughout the day, each one time-stamped, each one from a different angle. "The 39 bus doesn't have cameras," she messaged dad right after I'd gotten on that exact bus. We changed our routines, installed cameras everywhere. Mom stopped going places alone. Dad hired security for his office. I started getting rides to school instead of walking. Our house felt like a prison. The truth finally came out at Uncle Rob's funeral. We were devastated. Rob had died suddenly in a car accident, and the whole family was shattered. Dad was giving the eulogy when I spotted her in the back row, wearing a black dress like she belonged there. She waited until dad finished speaking, until we were all standing by the casket saying our final goodbyes. Then she walked straight up to us, not rushing, not sneaking, just walking with this eerie confidence. She stopped inches from dad's face while we were all crying, grieving, vulnerable. "You need to talk to me," she said calmly. "I need you to talk to me." Dad went white. Mom grabbed his arm, confused and scared, but she was already looking at each of us. First Mom, then me. Her eyes weren't angry or crazy. They were desperate, like someone drowning in slow motion. Then she turned and walked out just as calmly as she'd arrived. That night, Dad finally broke. Mom was in the kitchen table. Who is she? I'd never seen Dad cry. Not once. Not when his father died. Not when he got sued. Never. But then tears started rolling down his face. He grabbed Mom's hand and whispered something I couldn't hear. She yanked away like she'd been burned. Upstairs. Now. 2 minutes of silence passed. That's when Mom's scream shook the walls. 17 years? That Portland conference? While I was pregnant? The gears started turning, and before I knew it, I found myself unblocking and texting her. Full story on channel linked below.